affording groceries instead of affording going out to eat.
What if they're not going out to eat?
Then they may have an income problem instead of an expense problem.
Aha.
It's hard to fix. It's harder to fix an income problem than it is to cut expenses.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Dads on Purpose, the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ashford, and this show is all about helping dads be the best versions of themselves. And today we're going to talk about finances. We got the bow tie money guy, my boy Ross Powell. What's up, Ross?
Hey, man. Good to see you.
That was really calm.
I'm generally a pretty calm kind of guy.
I know, but I was.
Is it too calm for the?
I don't know, but we I think so. But we were just laughing and cackling.
We were
cackling. That's not what men don't cackle. Do men cackle?
I mean, we were cackling a little.
Anyways, talk. How do you introduce yourself? I introduce you as the bow tie money guy.
I do. So that tagline came basically out of nowhere. It rhymed, and I used it once, and then have been wearing a bow tie ever since. So on the summer days like today, when it's going to be up to 101,
it's hot. I'm
going to regret it a little bit, but then all the rest of the year, it's nice to be recognized and memorable. So,
but what do you do?
Oh yeah, sorry. I am a CFP.
Wait a second. What's that?
That is a certified financial planner.
Okay.
I am a CPA, which is a certified public accountant.
Wait, what's the difference?
So
I'm gonna let you I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but now you're throwing acronyms out there, and I don't know what they are.
All right. So the financial planner, that's my new career.
Okay.
And the CPA, that's my old career. That's the accounting. So
okay.
I used to prepare and plan a lot of tax work, do a lot of work around what structure should a business have so that they're as efficient as possible. But now I'm focused not just on tax, but have a more holistic approach to wealth building and cash flow management and risk analysis.
Dealing with a lot of
all
money.
The finances. Yeah.
How's this market for you? Not you, but the people you're managing money for.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a different approach where we reduce the risk level for our clients. And I've got clients that have started with me in January and have only seen the market decrease.
Yeah.
So we've got some protection in place for them, but on the equities side of their portfolio, it's only gone down since we started. But I've got other clients for me that have been in the 18-month run that have seen some of the waves, and so also I don't want to do a short-term approach. So I know we've got some differences here on investing approaches.
No, we have the same. First things first.
Differences between activities.
I was going to say, first things first, disclaimer, everything on this podcast is educational. It is not financial advice. Do not use this investing. If you want to invest, go talk to someone that is certified and licensed in your state that you can have an individualized approach.
Yes. Also, I would say I can't give any advice to anyone who's not a client because each individual case requires analysis. So,
wait, what do you? So, but what do you mean you can't give advice? So,
this is just education,
okay,
just like you said.
So, but what if you weren't licensed? Could I get in trouble for giving advice? I'm not gonna give advice. My advice is absolutely that's why I'm talking to you.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But if you were giving commercial insurance advice just candidly, and it was too specific or too.
This is exactly what everybody needs.
This is what we're talking about financially.
And this is how I lose my license.
Yeah.
So, okay. So going back to it. So go back to the differences of investing. For those of you guys don't know, I trade futures. If you don't know what futures are, that's fine. Google it. But I trade futures and I take my winnings and I invest it long term. So I have no interest in wanting to be a trader. Trading is stressful.
Trading is stressful.
But it's probably the most emotionally draining thing I've ever done it is more stressful than proposing to my wife, which was because you get nervous. You're just you want to get it right.
And some people enjoy the nerviousness and the anxiety and the opportunity that creates to max because they gamify it.
dude.
And so there's some wins you can have through gamification because you're going to get in, you're going to participate, you're going to learn, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
But there are also lots of opportunities to lose. And when you're talking about taking additional risk above what you should be, then you're going to lose more often and more severely than you want. So I don't know how we get really that deep into this conversation.
I was like, we're going to get somewhere.
What I do best is help my clients on the long term.
Okay.
On the planning side, it's making sure everything is in place and coordinating inside with each other. So like I talked about earlier, your tax for your business, is it structured properly? Are you getting the income that you need out of it? How should you be paying yourself? And then how does that affect the value of the business? How does that affect your retirement planning? How does that affect your estate planning?
Are you just focusing on businesses?
That's my primary focus, but no, because any business is owned by an individual.
Yes.
And that individual has to coordinate their financial plan with that of the business.
But let's talk. I want to talk individuals. Like,
all right, individuals.
Is that no? First things first. Like, and I don't know if I can answer this, but I'm asking anyways. How much do you have under management?
I'm about to cross 2 million.
Nicely done. Pound it.
So
knuckles.
Yeah.
All right. Is that deep? So I think like I've heard before, like the 1 million is like the threshold to like get to that.
I've heard Arnold say this over and over. The first million is the hardest to earn. So you just start with the second million.
There you go. All right. Well, yeah, sure. Why not? All right.
But it's just a joke. But
I don't know. I like it. Just start with the second million.
I've got a couple of things in the works to help me increase that pretty quickly. One at a time. I don't have any.
If I get these trades, I could just.
We need to start working together and roll them together into your long-term plan.
Just tell me where to get. I'm just kidding. No. All right. So I want to help people out there because I can ramble all day. Like Ross.
Sure. I mean, we could just chat.
Yeah. Well, that's all this is. Like,
but
it's my show.
May not be the best squeeze for the time that we have.
No. Anyways, sorry, dude. My ADHD is all over the place. So here's where I want to start is where do most people get it wrong in terms of planning? Like financial planning, where do most people get it wrong?
They don't start.
Oh, well, damn.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle is the first one.
Okay.
Get started. Whether you're starting working with a professional and you're ready to start and hire someone, or you want to get in and do some education. Either people feel like they're undereducated, so they don't do something because they don't know what to do, or they hyper focus and paralyze themselves by getting overeducated, which I don't lean hard against because I don't feel like you can be overeducated unless it's keeping you from acting.
Yeah. What do they say? Like knowledge, golly, it's not the fact of knowledge, it's applied knowledge.
Okay.
So like you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it, like what does it matter?
It's useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's just in your head and you're doing all these theoretical evaluations,
that's good.
That kind of stuff. If it keeps you from acting, then it's not helpful.
So why do I really don't understand why people don't like get started? It's like we're in this world, this age right now, like where everybody's like generational wealth, create it, let's get it. But like you're still doing the same things that you've done. And so I'm wondering like why don't people start? Because I've also heard, in terms to karate, like getting the white belt is the hardest belt to get. And that's the first one you get because you got to come into the door. So like that's the hardest one to get. So once you do there, like you're halfway to the goal.
Yeah. I feel like statistically, if you get the white belt, you're progressed a larger percentage than anyone who doesn't get in the door, who thinks that they wanted to get into karate or wants to get into financial planning, but they just don't ever put anything down on paper.
Okay.
So
but why don't they?
I think it's a fear of doing something wrong. But the biggest thing you can do wrong is not find a solution that covers about 85% of what you need. So people get focused on the details, and this is what you can find on the internet, is all the details of closing that last 15% of how do you squeeze, how do you build tax efficient harvesting on your capital gains. Okay.
I have no idea.
There is some benefit. There is some benefit there, but it's not the benefit that you're going to get out of having a managed budget.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
You know,
I like that managed.
If you can't
managed budget, because most people have a budget and they're like, I can do this.
Yeah, people that say they have a budget, they may have had something on paper that was from a year or 2 years ago, and they've slowly drifted on. And this is something I'm guilty of myself in my home life, is that I, progressively drift off, and I have these waves of when I'm on and when I'm not on, but I don't stray too far, and I know what my baseline is. But before I started budgeting, I had no baseline. I just had all this income coming in. I got out of college, and my wife got out of college, and we started our adult careers, and we had a lot of income, and we didn't have to track our expenses.
Man, I'm thinking about like my first year out of college. I think I made almost more than both my parents combined. Like my parents have been hardworking for all their lives, but they've never made substantial amount of money comparatively, right? And when I graduated, I was making, good amount of money, and I literally drank it all. I was 23, living by myself, doing what I do. And
that sounds unhealthy on all kinds of scales.
I mean, whatever. I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay.
Anyways, so like that. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. We don't have budgets. We start making money. And then what do they call it? So like like when you start making more money and you just keep spending it, what is that word called? Lifestyle creep.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Golly, thank you for not helping me.
You feel more rewarded having drawn it out of the
Absolutely
depths of your
not.
memory.
I don't.
No.
But anyways,
I've also heard Parkinson's law. I think it was generated as this theory that was kind of a joke to all the theorists around behavior, but it's essentially the same principle that water takes. So water expands to take any liquid, really,
the form
of the shape that its container.
Okay. Oh, that's the end of it?
That's the end of it for the liquid, but that's also if you don't control the container that you're putting your funds into, it will expand to take whatever shape it is. And then you'll spend all of your money and not necessarily know where it's going. And so having a budget and then setting up automatic systems for savings are the two pieces that'll get you 75 of the 85% that you need.
Wow. And so I was going to get back to that because we talked about the first thing. The first step was like doing something. And then do something. And I was like, so that's the biggest thing people don't do. And I was going to say, what is the second thing that people don't do? And so you just said it, like budgeting and then automated systems. Automated systems,
yeah. Okay. So when I say automated systems, I'm talking about your contribution to your 401k through your employer. So if you work for a large employer and they offer a 401k, sign up for it. Don't leave money on the table for their contribution. But then also, if you can afford it, which you won't know unless you have a managed budget, over contribute, put as much of it in that you feel comfortable with so that you set it up and you've got this automatic system where it's regularly contributing.
I was going to say,
and I say over contribute. I mean, there are limits to how much that you can put in. And when
really?
Yeah.
Is it like a Roth? I mean, like I know what's the Roth?
So
Roth is like
Roth is
5,000.
6.
Oh, is it? It's been a while.
And there's a bonus if you're over 50.
I'm not.
And then there's 401k limits, and they adjust every year depending on inflation.
Really? So now the limits are really high.
They're like preset adjustments. They're not directly tied to inflation, but
interesting. Sure. And so again, going back to that, and this is why you need to contact like a financial advisor, because I am not one to overinvest in a 401k simply because I know the person managing it I can manage it sometimes better than they can, but I still want to take advantage of the match.
Yes.
Right?
Take advantage of the match and take advantage of the tax deferral.
Yes.
And
what if my income is higher after I retire? I'm just kidding. Don't answer that question.
The whole play of these tax deferrals is that you're going to pay less tax by getting the deduction now and paying it later. So usually for someone our age, which is less than 40.
Yes.
Less than 40? Less than 35?
I am
30. I'm
34.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be 30. I'll be 35.
You're at that place now where you have to start counting.
Dude, you know what? This is literally like the 4th time this week someone's asked me my age, and I was just like, I don't like. That's why I got married. Like my wife,
so she'll tell you.
Yeah, like
she'll remind you.
So people like they ask me these questions, and I'm like, that's why I got. Somebody asked me, they're just like, oh, what are you guys doing this weekend? I was like, I don't know. That's my wife. Like I just work here. Like just don't ask me. Ask my wife. It was my sister. Anyway,
it's holiday weekend coming up. So
is it? I didn't even know it was 4th of July.
4th of July coming up.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing.
Your wife knows. She's got plans for the family.
People that are under 30, under 40 and 35. As far as
in general, I would recommend match so that you don't lose that free money, and then flip to Roth, and then flip back to 401k. So match, Roth, and then flip back. So once you get to the max on your Roth, then flip back to 401k.
6. Okay. And then put the rest of, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
And then so that way, okay. Yeah. Because the Roth, it's growing tax free. Like you've already paid the taxes on that.
Yeah. So the Roth is the reversal of other qualified plans where you don't get the deduction now, but it grows tax free and it's tax free in distribution as long as your retirement age and the account is old enough and you meet all the requirements.
Why did they limit how much I can put into a Roth? And
that's a philosophy question I cannot answer.
Okay. Wait. Why?
It's governmental. Who sets the regulations and what do they want to encourage and what limits do they put on? So there are other ways to put in more to your Roth, but those are a little outside the scope of what we're going to talk about today. The mega.
Well,
Roth,
I know. And
the mega backdoor Roth.
Well, and so we had a financial planner on here. Shout out to Savon. Sorry, I had to think about her name. But she was on here. And so she was, I didn't know. She was just like, she was like, this is why the wealthy have trust. And she was just like, because in a trust, she was just like, they can put a lump sum in there and it's tax free. And then she was telling us about some strategies that the mega wealthy use as far as like, if the trust owns the entity or the asset. So if they own crypto, they can buy and sell crypto without paying taxes because taxes are meant for a person. But that's high level, not general, not individualized information. But I was just like, bro, like there's some strategies that are available for those that are wealthy that the average person has no idea about. And so like, that's how people get away with quote unquote, not paying taxes.
Yeah. Again, there are a lot of highly individualized specific strategies based on your situation, your level of income, but those are going to be that 15%. And those are going to be chopped up into highly specialized opportunities that a lot of people may or may not qualify for. But you're going to, if you don't do the 85, you're going to miss the boat on the opportunities for the 15.
So do the raw or
so
do
the planning, do the budgeting, and then
401k match, switch to the Roth, $6,000 a year for right now. And then once you max out that 6,000, switch back to the 401k.
Yeah.
So that's what you would tell somebody if they were managing something on their own.
Yeah. One more
quote unquote
extension of general advice is to watch the expense ratios and the expense fees. So
what's a good expense ratio?
The lower, the better. If you're looking for something that is an indexed fund or something like that, and an index is basically just something that views the market. And there are several different indexes and they all view different sections of the market.
I have my favorites.
And so there are index funds that are created to mirror. And so you don't have to, like there's a S&P 500 is an index.
Yeah.
There are S&P 500 indexed funds that are created to mirror that opportunity. So you don't have to purchase all 500 of those in its relative share of the S&P 500. You purchase the index fund at a lower cost, a lower point of entry, instead of buying each of those shares individually.
How many index funds are there?
Oh, a lot.
Oh, okay.
Every fund company probably has their own index fund.
What do you
like Vanguard and Fidelity and Schwab? They all have their own index fund.
So if I have a 401k with like Charles Schwab, that's who my company uses. I can't buy the ones that Fidelity has.
Probably not.
Okay. No, I'm just
401k, your employer and the fund manager, they decide what opportunities you have inside that 401k. And sometimes it's a list of 40, sometimes it's a list of 400.
Oh. So complete transparency. I don't have a 401k, so that's why I'm not familiar with them. So we have 6 people in our agency.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I don't know what I don't know until I don't know it.
But I think there's and that general sentiment is why people don't start financial planning. So there are all kinds of good books, and they will argue different points. But again, that's arguing
what are
on
the right
smaller
points?
Things. So there are a couple of things that they all agree on.
Such as, I don't know why I said on.
They so like looking at two opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you've got Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, sorry.
It's just pretty opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Well, elaborate for people that don't understand the two differences. High level. You don't have to go into detail.
High level. Obvious difference is that Robert Kiyosaki is
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. He believes you should maximize leverage, which is loans and credit. And Dave Ramsey says you should avoid it
at all costs.
Yes, that it's
term insurance is the best insurance.
Yeah. So those are the key difference between the two.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
They also agree that you should have your own level of risk, know what your risk is, and take advantage of it. They don't see eye to eye on what level of risk is appropriate. Okay. That's why they differ on credit, but they do agree.
I was going to say, what is a right level of risk? But like you just said, like it's individualized. So like,
it is.
When I'm trading futures, like I have a certain stop loss that I'm comfortable with, quote unquote, losing.
Yeah, you've set your own level of risk, and it still makes you a little anxious, but that's part of what
I'm anxious. I start seeing it go red, and I'm like, ah!
They do both agree that you should know what income that you've got coming in.
Yes, and
that you should spend less than you earn.
What if someone is already spending more than they earn? Because you would say, hey, stop spending so much, right? But like you've already created this lifestyle, and now like how do you get out of it? Like if your expenses are $5,000 and like you have a house, you have a mortgage, you have kids, you got your cars, you got lawn care that you got to do. I don't know, just random things, electricity, cell phone, blah, 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 blah. So you got $5,000. Well, now your expenses, you're not even going out or anything like that, but your expenses are, $6,000 or $5,500 a month. So like, where do you cut out in quote unquote essential things? That's hence this quote unquote.
This is quite the scenario you've painted here.
I just made it up in my head.
Not uncommon for people to feel like there are essential things that they've got to do that may not be as essential as they think that they are.
Such as?
It's going to be small things.
What do you mean?
Like affording groceries instead of affording going out to eat.
What if they're not going out to eat?
Then they may have an income problem instead of an expense problem.
Aha.
It's hard to fix. It's harder to fix an income problem than it is to cut expenses. In general.
Yeah.
That would be the comparison between finding a new job or finding a new place to live. So in general, there are places to live that may be at reduced expenses from where you're at.
Right now in this economy?
In this scenario that you've created.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what that job market looks like because I don't know the profile of the person that you've got, what their skills are, what their opportunity is. And
that's tough, man.
The opportunity to add other revenue streams.
That was very vague.
It's very vague.
Well, so I'm wondering what you're thinking. And I'm not asking you to help people fix their problems, but you're saying like the opportunity for more revenue streams, and like, what does that mean? Like getting a second job? Because I've talked to a lot of wealthy people and they've never seen a second job actually help someone get out of a situation, because typically when you get a second job, you have lifestyle creep, which is a whole different other story.
So we'll start with managing your expenses, managing your budget, managing your income and expenses. So if you've created this scenario where you've got all these fixed expenses that you've got to cover, and it's more than your fixed income, you've got to have some variation. You've got to have some kind of variables of what things can be reduced either on the expense side or increased on the income side. And that's the only outcome for this equation to balance.
Yeah, that's really good. So I'm just like, I'm always thinking, so a lot of my questions are for me, but then I also just like, like, what do people out there in podcast land want to hear? And I think that's a thing, kind of like you said, like that's a normal thing that a lot of people struggle with, is maybe it's just a little bit more than, $200 a month that you're overspending, or maybe you're right at the bubble and then inflation happens. And now, dude, I was at the store, man, the other day,
particularly for seniors.
Well, yeah,
I'm gonna follow that, but you were at the store.
Yeah, I was at the store, and this was last week or something like that, and like I'm not balling out of control. Like praise God, we're doing okay. Like we're fine.
Good.
I was at the store and I was buying beer, and there was a lady in front of me, senior. She had her cat with her, and she was like checking out of the grocery line. And I'm just sitting there. I'm patiently waiting. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm getting beer, going back to the house, getting in the pool. And she's like checking out, and I can like sense in me, like God was like, yo, like pay for her groceries. And like, I didn't. By the time I was getting my wallet out, she had already paid for her. And so I was just trying to I could noticeably see she was about to like start crying. I was like, oh, ma'am, I was like, you left your taco season. She's like, yeah. And she's like, I had to put some things back. And I was like, you had to put taco seasoning back? She was like, I'm feeling the pinch. And I was like, God. And I was like, yo, like first things first, like when God speaks, listen. And if you're not a Christian, don't listen to this part of the message. But when he speaks, listen. But at the second time, I guess I didn't know, because, and this sounds bad, like I'm not typically around people that are feeling the pinch like that. Like no, or I don't know, or they don't talk to me about it.
Yeah, money is taboo in general.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying, so maybe you're living right on the edge, and then inflation happens, and grow eggs, daggum bag of chicken is $16, and so like now what do you do? So like where do those cost cuttings? And I'm not asking you to cut costs for people, but I'm just like, it really is tough when you're put in that position.
Yeah.
When you really, I don't know if no option is the right word, because it's like you put back taco seasoning.
Yeah. So
taco, 86 cents. And I get it.
We saw this with COVID, and we're seeing this with inflation, but those who are in poverty or close to it are affected first and hardest, and they're last to recover.
Yeah.
So, and that's something we've seen in all the statistics that we're seeing out of CCA through
what's CCA?
CCA is Christian Community Action. It's a local nonprofit here in Lewisville,
Texas.
And we generally provide hope and alleviate suffering. And
High
that
level.
comes in a couple of different ways through the food pantry that we have, through rental and utility assistance, so that people can stay in their homes in times of crisis.
I think
there's a whole application process and evaluation of who needs what and when how can we help them, and use the best efficiency of the resources we have. But it's if you're in need and you're listening to this, check out CCA. This is a good opportunity that we can either help you or we can find you some help through another.
I think also part of that is that if you're not in need and you have the means, support your local nonprofits.
Yes,
because they're just like everybody else is hurting. They're hurting, and their funds go to help those that are hurting even more than us. And so it's kind of like a cycle. And if we don't contribute to them, then oh man, sorry, I don't know how we got down this rabbit hole.
No, and one of the things that I have learned since joining the board at CCA is the opportunity to do better things with my. So if I go to the store and buy peanut butter and contribute that peanut butter to CCA, they're grateful for it. They'll put it on the shelf. They'll get it in the hands of someone who needs it. But it would have been better that I'd not paid retail and markup and sales tax and bought peanut butter, which they may or may not have needed at the time, when they could have taken those same dollars and used exactly what they needed at the time for the right hands in the right places. Because me buying that jar of peanut butter restricts it to that's the only use. But me giving dollars can go to rental and utility assistance, which may be particularly more important for the angel in need.
That's good. So that's part of my problem with panhandling. It's like I want to help those people there, but I also know that if I give $20 to a nonprofit, they can make that 20 100
because of their partnerships and their relationships with
and the matching of dollars and things like that. And so that's always that's my hardest part. I'm like, yo, like I see you, but like I guess I'm invested in the community that I know that what's going to be the maximum return for my dollars.
Yeah,
I guess is that bad? Does that sound too too investment wise?
No.
Okay.
No, you should be wise with your investments and with your charitable contributions as well. Just because you're maximizing the value of the opportunity doesn't mean you don't have a heart for someone who's giving there. And that would also lean into a contribution strategy that is another part of that 15% squeeze, is where you contribute inflated stocks to a nonprofit.
Oh.
So
that's the thing.
If you sell the stock and then give them the dollars, you have to pay tax on the increase of the capital gain.
Yeah.
If you give it to them and then they sell it, they get all of the dollars without the tax.
Oh.
And you get a charitable contribution for the full fair market value at the time of contribution.
And so anybody can do this?
Anyone can do this. There are some vehicles that are specifically designed for it. They're called.
I feel like this is a whole nother conversation.
It is a whole. It's an extension of the conversation. They're called donor advised funds.
So, like, that's a whole separate like account, brokerage account, or whatever that I open up.
Yes. And when you contribute to that fund, you get the deduction for the contribution then, and then those donor advised funds send out cash to the organization. So it's kind of the same vehicle. There's a management fee for it, and certain limits on how much you can put in based on who is this.
Or is it just for that 15%?
It's because you're not listening to the Fun Money Podcast where we talk about these things.
Oh, where do I find on the Fun Money Podcast?
Fun Money Podcast is available on all podcast platforms. And we're working on a YouTube, so we're a little behind. Dad's on purpose.
What do you mean you're working on? Like, you just sign up? Like, you get a Gmail?
It's working on editing the videos. We've got
have you seen my editing?
No, I haven't.
I don't.
It's some of it.
I literally so for me, I take one clip out of the beginning and then
cut off all that stuff.
I cut off the beginning. I cut off the end. I just upload it. Like, this is not rocket science.
It's not.
So it sounds like you're making excuses.
We have two cameras. And so we do like are we looking at you? We're looking at me.
I have one.
Maybe we should go down to one.
I mean, so like 2 cameras is
How
cool
much?
if you're gonna have
How
an
much
editor.
engagement is just looking at 2 guys talking to each other, talking to the camera,
Mhm.
versus talking to each other and the camera?
No,
we like put the cameras between us.
So
Is it getting too technical that's keeping
No,
us
it's
from
not.
getting started?
yes.
It's the 15%.
Aha.
Oh,
Where's the spoon?
I'm suffering from my own.
You're welcome. I literally just solved your entire podcast. Like, just have one.
Just
camera.
do it.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, it's visually engaging to see the switching back and things like that, but at the same time, like,
It's keeping me from action.
yeah. So now you bought
Just
2 cameras.
Bring it all the way
You
back.
bought 2 cameras. I don't even have a camera. This is a laptop.
Oh, it's a phone camera. So I mean, it's attached to the device I already have.
What, yours?
No, yeah, ours. We have ring lights in between us, and our phones are in those ring lights.
You got ring lights. You got
some fancy lights here.
Well, I got one. I broke the other one because I was trying. Anyways, that's a whole different. The only fancy thing I have is this audio interface that allows me to have 2 mics.
Okay, so I feel like this is a little extension and a little deviance
It
from
doesn't
in conversation.
matter. It's my podcast.
It is.
But yes,
There are
stop allowing the advancedness or the advanced applications from you starting to get started.
Yes, get started.
Mm-hmm.
And
folks won't ask a girl out because you're scared that she won't marry you, but you ain't even asked her out on a date.
She won't say yes if you don't ask her out,
unless she's crazy.
Well,
yeah.
If she's crazy, is she the kind of girl you want to say
that's
yes?
Not part of the, that's not part of the scenario.
Well, hey, look, we're doing dads on purpose here. So are you raising a daughter who's going to say yes without being asked?
Oh, God, no. Oh, man.
Okay, tell me, I know you have 1 daughter.
2.
You have 2.
Yeah.
And they're both less than 5.
Yeah, they're both less than 4.
Okay.
I got 3.5 and almost 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a world. They're 20 months apart. And connecting this to the topic, they both have are they UGMA accounts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they have
uniform transfer to minors.
Basically, they're accounts that I can put money into and buy stocks that grows and that is legally theirs. I can use the money in there, whatever, as long as I use it for them. And at the age of 21 in Texas, it becomes theirs. So as it grows, my goal is to have 10,000 shares in there by the time they're 21 of whatever I want. So Lord willing, that'll be, 6-7 figures at that price point. And to start them just on their, journey of life at a better position than I was. And so, but yeah, so 2 girls, 2, 3.5, they got UGMAs. They got some Apple shares. They got some other ETFs in there. And yeah. Go back to your question though.
Okay. So my question is, have you considered opening a Roth for them?
No. Why?
This is similar, but the deferral is tax-free. Mm-hmm. So if they draw on those funds for a couple of reasons, they can draw out that growth tax-free. And college funding is part of that.
Yeah. So now we're kind of switching gears. Going to that, if I have a Roth in the state of Texas for my kids and they go to college, does that money count against them in financial aid? Because I know the UGMA does.
I have not done that review in a while.
Okay. Because I know
we were looking at the
the 501.
No.
FAFSA.
FAFSA. Thank you.
Okay.
I would have to review it again to figure out what assets do and don't count against them in the evaluation of their scholarship opportunities as far as needs based.
Can I put? Never mind. So
I would venture to say there are some strategies that you can do to consign those funds in one place or another, but I would venture to say one of your goals should be for them not to qualify for needs based.
Absolutely, 100%.
So
yeah. So and so part of it,
not to use that to be unwise with what you can do and what you can structure.
Oh yeah, give me all the free stuff. Give me all the free.
Take advantage of all the opportunities that you got, all the free stuff that you got. But one of your goals for your income and for their assets is for them to have funding. Vogue.
Yeah, outside of the dollars that are quote unquote provided by the institute. Never mind. Sorry, don't get me go down. I don't want to get my podcast cut off. Okay, but yeah, so I really want to look into that for the Roth for them, because like you said, it does grow tax free. My right now, my concern, it's not my problem, but as I grow in wealth accumulation, is that the Roth is limited. So like I can only put so much in there.
It is.
Yeah. And look, I'm not trying to put my business out there. I ain't balling like that yet. But
do you hire your girls?
They're not.
Are you self-employed?
No, I'm not. I'm actually a W-2.
Oh.
But I do. So I do.
That idea.
But my wife and I, we do own a vending machine business.
Oh, yeah.
That gives back to local nonprofits.
Do you use their pictures in advertising?
No.
Are you going to hire them as models?
Oh, so I've wondered, because I'm an LLC, and so I do know that at a certain point I can hire them tax free. What's it, like $12,000, something like that, in the state of Texas?
Yeah. It's not that it's tax free; it's that they have the standard deduction.
Thank you.
So all the income is taxable at this level, and then they have a standard deduction that it matches that, and so it brings it down to zero.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Which is like tax free, but it's
not. But so I could use them I could hire them as models, because I knew. So my understanding of the law of that is that they had to be doing something actively in the business. I didn't know that I could use them as models, because I never thought about that, because I'm not that creative.
There are,
which is why you hire someone.
There's all kinds of opportunities to employ your children.
I understand what you're saying, but the way there's all types of opportunities to employ your children. But yeah, now I need to go sit down.
Referrals.
What do you mean?
Connections to parents who might put in another vending machine. Models.
If we need to talk about that, because
if there's a business expense,
how can I use them as referrals?
Ordinary and necessary in the course of business.
Okay. What is that?
Are you going to pay your kids their W-2 just like you would pay any other employee for sending you referrals?
Okay. How would my 2-year-old tell me that there's a referral?
Does she go to dance class?
No, she goes to school. But anyways,
where does she go to school?
Kids are kids.
Kids are kids. Do you meet other parents at Kids Are Kids?
Yes.
Because your daughter goes there?
Yes. Well, now you guys have gotten educated, and this is the end of the free podcast. If you want more, we don't have a paid podcast. there's no paid
podcast.
Man, oh my goodness. What your
mind is blown.
I can't get back on topic. And so
what topic are we headed to now?
I know I'm about to end it, because I literally can't get back on, because now I tell you, my ADHD, man, it's all over the place. And now you got me thinking, because I'm all about, how do I pay less taxes? Don't get me wrong. I'm happy. I love to pay Uncle Sam, because that means that I'm having profit. But the less I can pay him, the happier I will be.
Yes. Again, this is a 15% strategy, because you've already got started. You've got your financial plan in place. You're maximizing opportunities for your budget. You've got an LLC in place that is adding an additional stream of revenue for you. And because it's a business, you can then employ your children. So you got to have enough top line revenue to pay them. Now you're looking at $25,000 that you're paying to them.
So that means then
you're putting that fund in their accounts.
I need to start like an Instagram page and use my kids as models. Or I could just put them on the website.
Or you can just have them be a part of your website, your Instagram.
Yeah, I'd rather do the website, because I don't want to do Instagram.
You could have their picture on a sticker that's on all of your vending machines. Is it proper vending? Proper vending.
Yep. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Yo, Ross, what do you want to leave people with before we get out of here? Because I can't
get started. The same thing that we started this podcast with is what I want to leave with. Don't be intimidated to start doing financial planning. It can make a world of difference as a dad, as the head of the family, as co-parent, whatever situation you might be in. Don't let the 15% of the technicality keep you from getting started. You can adjust to close those gaps that you've got.
Yeah.
But if you don't get started, you won't have gaps. You'll just have a giant void of financial planning.
I think that's going to be the opening of this podcast. Like literally, like if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can just listen to that 15-second clip and be done. You don't got to listen to us rant and rave and anything like that. Ross, where can they find you, man?
So you can find me at my website, rosspowellcpa.com, or you can find me on any of the podcasting platforms for Fun Money.
Which one are they?
The Apple, Google,
Spotify.
Yes.
I think there's some other ones, but who cares? Like
I used to listen on Overcast.
Why?
I liked the lineup where you could really cue the podcast, but now I listen on Spotify. So
listen on Spotify.
Yeah.
I like it. And so it's fun. Is it Fun Money or fund with a D?
Fun, as in an enjoyable activity.
I mean, funds are enjoyable too.
They are.
Aha. Anyways.
Aha.
Oh man, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you guys out there in podcast land. Like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast. Until next week, take care. God bless. We out.